These are the numbers that are being thrown at us constantly. The cases, the cases, the cases. And I want to drill down into that number right away and talk about the cases, because this is the number that's really directly affecting policy. And I want to talk about what really is a case. And so let me show you this figure that you see on screen right now. And again, this is the daily quote unquote cases that we are being shown in the media. But actually, that's not really what that number is. It's the total number of people that tested positive with the CPR COVID test. And I'm not going to get into the accuracy of the CPR test, the false positives, the false negatives, to the number of times that RNA strand is replicated in order to break through to a positive test, whether that's 40 times, 37 times, or 33 times. That's been talked about at length on my show. But let's go ahead and take this case, this number as a true, people testing positive. That does not equal people that have cases of COVID. It just means that you've tested positive for this RNA sequence. I want to make that very clear. But the most important number that you're going to see on the screen right now is the increase in the number of tests. Because if you look at the people testing positive, you'll see that this 18,900 is nearly 4 times the 5,000 cases per day that we saw on the first wave of the pandemic, where we saw many deaths. We saw the NHS, we were being told, being put under strain, and now it seems like it's 4 times that number. But when you look at the number of tests being done, you can see that that's gone up dramatically since May and November. And it's gone from the May dates of somewhere around 50,000 cases per day, now up to almost 250,000 cases per day, tests per day. That's 4 and 5 times the amount. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know this. If you test more people, you're going to get more cases, period. And this is not shown to us as a percentage of population. It's just shown to us as the total number of people testing positive. And so this number is not put into context. And so by very definition, it is flawed and it is skewed, and you cannot compare it to a number that was happening in April or May. And yet that is the number that we see newspapers leading with, television channels leading with, and politicians leading with when they want to get your attention and they want to use it to hijack logic, hijack science, and change policy. This is a very, very, very important point, and we need to hold our politicians and our mainstream media to qualify this point when they put it out there. Because if you don't tell us there's been 4 times the number of tests, then you can't say, well, adjusted for the quantity of tests we are saying, the number is actually lower than back in May. But they don't say that. They throw a number of cases at you, which is actually the number of positive tests, which is not necessarily the number of cases. And then they try to instill panic, which is what they're doing right now in this country with this record number of positive tests. So again, it must be put in context. If you divide that by the number of tests being made 4 and 5 months ago, the number is actually not any bigger than where we were in the quote-unquote first wave. So that's the first point that I really want to make. I think it's a very, very important point to make. And again, all of my data is coming from the Office of National Statistics here in London. It's a government-regulated office, so these numbers you can look up right now on their website if you want to find out more about them.